Optifi exists because in the trust and corporate services industry, our clients have loads of different disparate systems that do certain checks, systems that maybe do workflows, systems that hold their client data. None of it talks to each other. So in this really fiercely regulated and sensitive industry, we have folks who are spending lots of money on operational staff and technology licenses, and nothing's really working for them. It doesn't allow them to assess risk in a timely and cost-effective manner. It doesn't allow them to offer their front office staff that seamless customer experience, their one view of their client, and assess their risks and their goals. And from an end client perspective, things seem very disparate. They're sending information lots of different places multiple times. So Optifi exists to pull all of those experiences together to create a single pane of glass for our clients to use, where they can measure their cost to serve, where they can measure their client experience, where we're pulling all of those things together. So that's why Optifi exists.
And a lot of the technology estate within the industry is quite old and archaic. So we hope to bring a modern technology platform to the industry that doesn't carry any technical debt. It makes us, provides the ability for us to be nimble and agile and deliver enhancements and changes quickly.
So I think the challenges in the industry are, it's because the systems are so disconnected. There's a lot of money and time spent in contractors and IT companies stitching those things together in a way that's typically unique for each trust company. But everybody's doing the same thing by and large. We still enter payments in the same way. We still want to see the same sort of client and entity management data. So having one platform that does that all, and you don't have to pay for integration costs, you don't have to pay for change management and your own test cycles and your own staff to try and onboard that, we take that off your hands. So that's one of the challenges that Optifi solves. I think the other is really consolidating that client experience. As a trust and corporate services provider, your clients are putting trust in us to handle your assets, to handle your affairs, to handle your goals, to execute services in a cost-efficient and timely manner. So pulling all of those threads together and allowing the front office to see the full book for the client, what distributions they've got going on, where their accounts production is, or do they need a FATCA research, what trigger events are in flight, does the client have vulnerabilities if I'm meeting my client, what are their likes, their dislikes, all of that, client relationship management aspect of it, pulling that together into one single pane of glass. So when you're speaking to the client, you can really evidence that you know them and that they can trust you and invest with you. So those are some of the key challenges that we're looking to solve. But I think also cost, right?
Cost, the cost, the platforms supporting this industry are very expensive. So we hope to provide a more cost-effective solution, but with cost flexibility, to allow customers to pick and choose which features they would like, and that's what they pay for. We will provide flexible pricing models, because some bigger companies in particular look for cost certainty, so they want that kind of singular fee. Annual fee-based approach, but other smaller companies are looking for a lower cost, because some of these current platforms are very expensive to operate for small and medium-sized trust companies. So I think there's a good opportunity for us to come in with a more attractive cost option, coupled with best-of-breed customer experience, and with a singular modern technology platform. I
think another challenge of the industry is the amount of money that is spent internally on doing checks over and over again, because the data is fragmented. So, if you're doing a payment to someone, having to check the CDD documentation, maybe if you're doing a distribution, having to check trust deeds and various bits. There's lots of trying to find that information, and that costs money. Somebody's sitting there doing that, when really, if the platform is built in a scalable and AI-friendly manner, that data can just be visualized for the colleague to see. They're performing the same checks. We're just cutting out some of the billable time on that, and that's cost effective for the end clients. It's cost effective for our trust and corporate service provider customers. So the efficiency is one of the key benefits that we measure, especially when we're working out license costs for our customers. How much can we save you? You know, if you win, you win.
And we've seen quite a lot of customers, potential customers, doing kind of DIY type solutions where they're trying to take kind of orchestration products, generic orchestration products such as like the Power Platform, and stitch things together themselves. But they don't really have the skill. They're doing that on their own. They're a relatively small company, and they often get themselves into quite a tricky spot. Yeah, because there's the initial capital investment just to try and stitch this together in themselves when they've maybe not got the right level of kind of in-house experience. But then often they really stumble on the operational side. So they've created this, in some cases, a bit of a Frankenstein of integrations, and then they really struggle to support it. Yeah, and then other providers will have to come in and rescue them, and that will cost them a lot of money. So we're trying to demonstrate that our platform is a more cost-effective way of achieving those objectives. Yeah, at a reasonable cost. So, for me personally, I've known John for many years. We met probably nearly 30 years ago, probably the early days of Pulsion. And we know that Pulsion celebrated their 30th anniversary last year, so congratulations to that. But yeah, I knew John. I worked with John in Barclays in the early days. We were building a retail trading platform. This was pre-internet. It was very exciting. But John and a couple others came in, and we very much collaborated on building the new platform. So always admired John's judgment, his technical ability, and his reputation for hiring talented people. So I think it felt very natural to re-engage John. He's always been in the back of my mind as someone that I look back and think that was a great project, great delivery. I really enjoyed working with him. So we re-engaged, and we met up for a coffee, and then at that point, Optifi was actually still a bit of a glimmer in the eyes of the founders. But we left the coffee thinking, John saying, if they ever get this up off the ground, let me know if you need some help. And lo and behold, that's how it happened. But I think as an organisation, you're perfectly situated in the central belt of Scotland. There's a massive amount of talent in the Scottish Central Belt. If you take in the big universities like Glasgow, Edinburgh, St Andrews, so it's kind of ready made there. And with John's great judgment and hiring fantastic people, it just felt the right thing to do.
There's a few. So from day one, we saw some major efficiency benefits around. I think each person within our client's company was saving between 30 and 50 minutes of time per day just finding information. So consolidating their experience, that they're not on Outlook all the time, they're not in Teams and pinging each other and swivel chairing and context switching. Having everything in one place made a difference to them for various different journeys. So whether it was paying invoices or accounts production, investment reviews or investment monitoring reviews. I consolidated everything into one place where they had an audit trail, where they could do internal signatories within the platform. So that was really good. I think the other benefits we've seen with the clients that have gone live is this kind of spike in innovation. So they can see where Optifi is going, and everyone's got really cool ideas on how to make their experience better, the front office experience better, their end clients experience better. So we've got this sort of sphere of hope, I guess, where people are sending their feedback and their ideas because they believe that we'll be able to make that happen for them. And I think the other thing that we're really giving is, for the first time ever, we're giving baseline service level agreements or timelines for what the client experience is. How long is a client waiting? We may execute it in X days, but if the client has sent it in 2 days before that, well, that's their experience, So being able to give those key operational and client experience stats, it really helps our clients pinpoint their investment, whether it's that time and effort in looking at a process and trying to slim it down, or whether it is more sort of technical investment, like, okay, we need a tool to do this, or we need this automated. So it's helping our clients see the wood through the trees as to what problem they solve next. And I feel like everyone's really excited about it. That's certainly how I interpret the benefits. So yeah, watch this space for more.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm the digital designer here at Pulsion.
And hi, I'm Steele, and I'm one of the software developers here at Pulsion.
So, as a designer, I was involved in the early stages of the product and the project. So that was UI design and UX design. So that was taking all of Optifi's requirements, all the early sort of bootcamp stuff that they'd done, out with the project and bringing it together and actually creating designs on the screen for them to look at, and then progress into the next stage of development. Working with Optifi has been a really sort of great experience. It's a very, very hands-on client, which is good. Involved with his daily stand-ups, review meetings. They've got very keen interest in UI and UX design, and one of the sort of main things that they sort of gave us was a bit of steer. This is a new product, something that's not been done before, so that came with its own challenges. So yeah, they were very sort of hands-on during that process. What we did for them is we did obviously UI designs, then we turned them into sort of clickable prototypes using sort of prototyping software that allowed them to review the user journey, because for a product like this, the user journey is very, very important, and having something that they could look at and click through was very useful, I think, for getting that journey sort of solidified and sort of ticking that off. And then once that was all completed, once everything's all ticked off, it means then the software developers had a good starting point. They knew exactly how the application should look and feel, and how it should flow as well. What happens when you click this button, what screen do you go to next. So yeah, that was I think not only helping Optifi see the vision of their product, also helped our sort of internal developers as well, actually to build their product, have the sort of blueprints to work with, and yeah, that was good. And yeah, obviously then it moved over to the development process, and that's where kind of Stephen and the rest of the development team sort of came in.
Yep. So I was one of the developers on the project. We had a few of us, and it was a very interesting project to work on because Optifi were just such a responsive client. So our job was to take what Andrew had designed with Optifi's help and turn it into a reality. That would be writing code, testing it, and then deploying it. And as part of this, Optifi were very, very hands-on. It wasn't so much the case that we were just siloed away for a few weeks on end and wrote code and only then Optifi had visibility of that. Actually, we were doing regular releases to kind of staging environments. We were getting Optifi's opinion on it the entire time, really. And they were providing very helpful feedback. So it was a very, very iterative process, and they were there to provide hands-on.
Yeah. No, it was great to have them as well, even communication as well, having teams and stuff, instant communication. Like you said, we weren't going away and I wasn't just doing a week, 2 weeks worth of designs, then getting their feedback. It was like the daily, change this, or that button's in the wrong position, or that colour doesn't quite work. Just very, very small things, but having that constant feedback from a client has been great. It's made the whole process just so much smoother.
Especially in terms of technical processes as well, when it came to implementing the code. If we had any questions or there were any uncertainties, we could constantly refine the product because Optifi were just so responsive. Yeah. So we had that two-way flexibility and communication channel open that made the development just a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So they were very, very easy to collaborate with.
As well as like the expectation as well. There's no unknowns. There's no, you go away, you do work, and you say, oh, that wasn't what I had in mind. It's like, well, we know exactly what they had in mind because they're telling us each and every other day and stuff as well. So it removed all that kind of uncertainty that sometimes you get with projects or some clients as well. So that was
and they were very hands-on themselves when it came to describing what they want. They made frequent use of things like prototyping tools, so that they could kind of show almost like a blueprint to you, and then you design it, and then we would develop it. Yeah. So I think they're pretty good pipeline overall, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good. They also had their own sort of separate sort of design team that actually created a brand new branding for them as well. So, which was really great. So that was handed over to myself, and that helped me immensely. Things like cover schemes, their logo, and their imagery, and their sort of the message and stuff. So it was quite fun for me personally to actually convert that into the product and put it into the prototype as well. So having that awareness from Optifi as well, from a branding point of view, it was great to see as well, and it was great to see that extend into their own website and their social media channels, how that all ties in with the product we've built with them as well. So it's quite good, cool to see.
And even out with the kind of the design process, Optifi were also very technically minded too. We had a lot of technical discussions with Optifi on a regular basis about really, really kind of in-depth concepts that sometimes you maybe wouldn't expect the client to be so involved in, but as developers it aided us massively because we were able to really chat about kind of these decisions that sometimes you might feel like the development team has the full responsibility of that, but this time Optifi were actually very, very hands-on with the technical aspects as well, which made implementing their solution easier.
Yeah. So, all in all, great client to work with, and excited to see what happens in the future, and hopefully the relationship continues and we see more.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
No doubt. Probably want to touch on I suppose the experience we've had with Pulsion, right? So it's not been a supplier relationship; it's been a partnership. The entire development process has been a collaboration of teams, and I think that also flows through to what Cara's just mentioned around the benefits as well. The innovation flows from the clients through Optifi and down into the Pulsion team, and then as a entirety we innovate and think of cool new stuff to deliver and help everyday people's jobs and make them better. Certainly for me, not just the collaboration, the quality of output. We've had very few issues with any of the software development. The quality's been, quite frankly, outstanding, and I think the flexibility of how we operate is worked really well. The fixed price contracting has worked really well for us. We're a small outfit. Cost certainty was really important for us. That worked extremely well for us. And it wasn't a transactional kind of relationship. It was always that kind of very much collaboration of almost kind of equals, right? To achieve a kind of common goal. And I think I really do want to kind of mention something about the kind of go live. Because that was for me something that was truly exceptional. We had there was a Microsoft global outage just shortly before we were due to go live with the first client.
Typical, right?
Which meant a number of Microsoft services were not available. The Pulsion team grasped the nettle and quite literally reconfigured the entire cloud setup to get us live on time, right? So they went, way over and above to get us live. We went live without any incidents. We had a couple of minor issues. The team fixed them in the afternoon. We tested them I think actually at time, I think we tested them because we were out for dinner, so we tested them in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the Pulsion team kind of released them in the evening. That's just fantastic. You can't wish for kind of better partnership.
Yeah. If I can pick on your innovation thread, because I think you're so right. As a CPO, I've always wanted to implement the Marty Kagan model, where the product owners are not backlog groomers, they're not Excel jockeys, they're not project managers of the feature going through. They own the outcome. I'm not measured on output, I'm measured on the outcome. And Pulsion really subscribed to that. So when we were providing the requirements, it was generally based off the back of a lot of discovery with the potential clients at the time, using AI wireframing software so we could really see the experience. But ultimately what we gave Pulsion was the outcome. This is the outcome we're looking for. Here's the tried and tested design. But because Pulsion have cross-industry experience, and they've seen, at the time it was workflow, they've seen workflow tools in different industries, they were able to bring that experience with them and say, well, we've had another client who looked for a very similar outcome. What about this? So it was that sort of feedback loop and working in that triad that Kagan is so militant about. That is very hard to achieve with really big organizations. Working with UX, product and developer all together and come out with something meaningful. And I think Pulsion really helped us, model that.
Yeah, that's a great example of the value add that we get from the partnership. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. Only good stuff to say about the Pulsion partnership.
And one other thing to add as well is that, as product, it's really difficult to get requirements right up front. There's always going to be edge cases you miss. There's always going to be quirks that we don't consider. No matter how much discovery we do and how much usability tests we do up front and so on, there's always going to be wee things. And those are the things you were calling out the go live. It was minor things like that. And I feel like when we're in that situation where we've gone live and we've got our contract with Pulsion, but these things come up, I didn't feel blamed. And I certainly didn't, if there were minor bugs that came up, there certainly wasn't that back and forward. It was just like, let's all get on it. And obviously if things were quite big or it was a complete pivot in requirements, that was different. But that was handled in a really mature, collaborative fashion. Like, we can absorb this one. This is going to be this extra cost. So it was a really nice partnership. There wasn't this sort of push and pull.
Yeah, absolutely. There was no tension there.
No, at all. It was really good.
To be honest. So I think to summarise, collaboration, tick. Mm-hmm. Flexibility, tick. Quality, tick. Mm-hmm. Stability of platform, tick. Performance of platform, tick. Mm-hmm. Value for money, tick. Well done to the Pulsion.